at the Wellness Park Pharmacy at 86th and Buffalo Avenue and the Community Medical Pharmacy on Michigan Avenue just off Main Street. You're not just another customer, and your needs are important. To them, you're a somebody.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
Now under new ownership, both pharmacies will see to it that you get the personal service that you deserve. Want to give them a try? Then call right now, 260-1918, and tell them you want to switch your prescriptions over to the Wellness Park Pharmacy or Community Pharmacy in Niagara Falls. They'll make all the phone calls to make it happen. And both pharmacies offer free home prescription delivery. And when you have them on the phone, be sure to ask about their wide selection of CBD products. Available in creams, oils, gummies, and much, much more. Get all the details today by calling 260-1918. The Wellness Park Pharmacy at 86th and Buffalo Avenue and the Community Medical Pharmacy on Michigan Avenue just off Main. Call 260-1918.
Where everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody...
The opinions expressed on NiagaraBroadcastNetwork.com are those of the host and the guest, not of management or the sponsors.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Hey, speaking of being friends, finally got an old friend. Well, Vince Anello's been hiding from us for months now.
Oh, yeah.
We finally got you back. Well, I know you got your own show. You don't need no little shows no more. You don't. Vince does a show Tuesday and Thursday on WJJL Radio. I got to ask you a couple things about that and
Sure.
about other thing that's going on. So, what is going on?
As far as what, WJJL?
Everything.
Well, they're updating, upgrading, the station, and there are going to be a few announcements made in the near future, hopefully, and WJJL will be alive and well for a long time to come.
I hope so. Just curious, listenership on your show. You have any idea how many people listen to your show?
We don't, the station doesn't have the service that does the count, but they're, like I said, they're updating the equipment, and we'll have those kind of numbers in the near future. But what I've been impressed with is that, you might get 6 calls, 8 calls during the day, when you're on the show, sometimes a little bit more. And you wonder how many people are really listening. But what we get a kick, my wife and I get a kick out of is, like, we'll be at Wegmans.
Yeah, someone recognize you.
Or a restaurant.
How do they recognize you off the radio?
Well, they just come up.
They know
just
you.
Come up, yeah,
Well, they know
right.
you,
They just come up and says, what you were talking about Tuesday, wow, it's, I wanted to call in. Well, do it,
Yeah.
Call in.
Yeah.
You know?
I have the same thing here because we get, a few calls a show. But I look and I could see, there's 120 people, 250, usually from 120 to 250 watching live. And then the same as you, because you're on the internet also.
Yeah, and
You have people that watch after or listen after.
Right, and we've been doing. I've been doing the show on Facebook Live for a few months now, and I tell you, I'm getting a big kick out of it because you get comments while you're doing the show. You get comments, and I'm not quick enough to type and do all that, to answer the comments because I'm trying to pay attention to the show.
I do the same. People call me and text me while I'm on the air,
and
I don't.
it's hard to do, but I get a big kick out of it, and I try to answer the one on the air. I try to answer what I can, if it's part of the conversation. But we do get a nice play afterwards, and where people go back and watch the show. And one of the things I like about it, because I've always tried to tape my shows, even if it's just audio, just in case, and it's happened a few times. Well, you said this, and that, So I go back to the tape and show the people, the person that's having that little bit of issue with it, and show them, no, that's not what was said, you know, and it works out. But look, for me, it's a hobby. It's something I enjoy doing, and certainly it helps me keep, you know, to keep connected with the community, you know.
Now, we had a few people, and I'm still trying to put this into perspective. We had a few people last week call and say some kind of derogatory things about Kenny Hamilton. And I gotta agree. I jumped in and said, you know, the article he wrote in the, I thought he wrote in the Reporter was racist. It was talking about there's not enough black people. I don't care how many black people or white people. That doesn't matter to me. And what he wrote kind of stunned me.
Yeah, for me, it's always been. I don't believe I'm a racist in any level, and for me, it's always been. I've always tried to be colorblind, and as far as ethnicities are concerned, I don't demean anybody because of their ethnicity. But I read a little bit of the article. I didn't read the whole article because I saw the direction it was going, and I said, you know what, I really don't want to.
That's exactly what I thought. And so people commented here.
Yeah.
And Kenny, well, here's what I want to ask you. And Kenny called me. He said, you know, we got to talk. I said, what's the matter? Well, I hear people have been calling up and saying things about me. I said, well, there's some people that had opposition to what you said. I says, and even I thought it was kind of a racist article. You're talking about there's not enough black people representing the blacks and the interpretive center. And I said, it doesn't matter to me. So I said, but Kenny, if you want to come on the show and talk about it, I'll gladly give you an hour to come on.
Well, you're going to have to give Kenny an hour and a half.
Well, yeah, I know.
You know?
But his answer, here's what his answer was. Well, why would I come on your show when I'm on the Sandy Beach show?
Right.
I said, Kenny, you're on the Sandy Beach show 10 minutes a week, and to be honest with you, I don't know why you're on that show. You're not an expert on anything that I know of. Why would they have you go to Buffalo to be on the show? And then he said, well, do you know of any other person that's on the radio that would come to another radio show? I said, yeah, I got Vince Anello coming tomorrow. I'm kind of just dumbfounded over the whole thing, but Kenny was invited to come down, and he said when he gets a chance, if he gets a chance in a week or so, he might come on.
Well, you know that Kenny likes to be provocative, okay, and he likes to get a response from his stories, and I can understand that. I can appreciate that of a columnist, you know. But again, when I started reading the article, I kind of walked away from it, you know, because just like I said, you know, I had guests on my show that had to do with Black History Month. Okay, Willie Price. Now, one of the things that I mentioned, and I don't feel bad about mentioning it because I've said it numerous times, this notion that only white people can be racist is totally ridiculous. Because I've been involved in the community for a long time, and I have sat at the table with black racists. I've sat with racists of other ethnic groups. Okay, so this notion that, you know, if you're white, there's a strong possibility that you can also be a racist. I don't go for that. I don't accept it. You know, I spoke up when the subject came up. I've always spoken up. So I was a little surprised, but Kenny likes to provoke, and this way he gets a response, and that's okay.
Well, Kenny told me, and here's something else he told me that he said, if I'm on a Sandy Beach show and I have 40,000 listeners, 40,000 listeners.
Well, you know, maybe he does. Okay, so what? You know, I mean the point is, like for
we
me,
get a couple hundred, Vince. We're crazy happy. You know, I got 40,000 people. How do you know? You're on 10 minutes a day, Kenny. I mean, you're on 10 minutes a week. And then I said, and why would you even go on that show? Why did they bring you over there? Well, if I wasn't a somebody, why would they have me? A somebody?
Well, Kenny knows a lot about a lot of things, doesn't he?
Well, he says he does. He's the expert on everything, yes.
But Kenny and I have gotten a lot of long and solid
Oh, I get
conversations.
along with him too. I mean,
Solid conversations, and he's experienced a lot because he's been able to use he's been able to have access to a lot of different things because of the fact that he has reported on a lot of things, so it's easy to say I'm with the press, and
I
knock
guess,
on the door,
I guess,
and knock on the door. Well, hey, it's just part of it. I mean, anybody that comes, like when I was in office, people would come in and they were from the press. I didn't know if they were in the press for 1 week or 1 year or they're veterans of 20 years. You know what I'm saying? If they told me they were from the press, fine, shake hands. Okay, what questions do you have? You know what I'm saying? I never had.
he also when he called me and I returned his call, his question was, "Are you recording me?" I says, "What? Are you want to know if you're recording me now?" What is this, an interrogation? What? You called me. I'm returning the call. What's the difference if I'm recording you? Really? I should have, because it was a funny conversation. But
Kenny can recite a lot of history of the city of Niagara Falls, when it comes to public figures and all of that. And
Yeah.
I understand.
now,
how
do you
he
have him
feels.
on your show a lot?
He's been on my show, I think, twice. But I've been, I've had the show for 8 years, but he's been on the show twice, and the subjects were community issues, and we
Sure.
talked about
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't consider myself a broadcaster, when I'm on the show.
What are you?
No,
Are
when
you a
I'm-
politician? Are you? What are you?
No. When I'm on the show, it's no different than being at coffee with my friends. I mean, I don't speak any different.
Do you holler at your friends at coffee?
Sometimes.
Sometimes you get, there's a few people that get under your skin.
But it's passion, though, Sal. It isn't. When I raise my voice, it's not because of anger. I'm emphasizing a point, and that's the way I learned to emphasize a point. I'm Italian. What do you want me to do? So
Gotcha.
but I haven't hit anybody.
Recently,
in a long time.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
It's been a long time.
Been a little while for that.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
That's
but,
funny. Well, I just want to say that Kenny Hamilton has been invited to come on the show to speak his part. If he had objection to what people said, fine. He's been invited. He could come down, or he could call. You could call too, as a matter of fact. We're at 333-3020. Vincent Ellis with us. Thanks for the plugs on your show the other day.
Yeah.
Let's see if any of your listeners follow over and give you a call here.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm listening to some of the radio calls, and there's a lot of people, and I'm starting to get them here. People calling from out of town.
Right.
Do you find a lot of that?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, since I've been on Facebook, my cousins from Bologna have been watching it every once in a while. From Palermo, Sicily, have been watching it. But I do get people, our former librarian who's in Colorado. I think it's Colorado. She's watched a couple of them. So that's interesting. One of the people that moved from here and went to North Carolina has made comments, because they're able to listen on Facebook.
Sure.
So I find that interesting, that people do respond that way.
It makes it fun.
Yeah.
It makes it fun. So, okay, you spend time as the mayor. You've been broadcasting it for 8 years. You're looking at a new regime that comes in now. Is anything going right or different? What are you seeing about our?
Well, what I
Our
saw in
city.
this last campaign, not necessarily from the candidates, but certainly from the public, was that a lot of people were looking for a miracle, okay? And the bad news is that I don't think we're going to get a miracle. And I don't think the new mayor, Bob Rustino, is going to be able to perform a miracle. I mean, he walked. Most people realize that he was walking into a bad situation. But until you're there, you really don't know what a bad situation really is. And I think in the next 3 months, or the first 100 days, he's going to uncover a lot of things that we wish we had addressed a long time ago. And that's what,
What kind of things?
Well, a lot of it'll have to do, it'll be with the financial situation of the city. I mean, we're in trouble. And Joe, I've said this on your show for years. We just haven't shown the discipline that we need for our finances. In 2013, the state controller told us that. Nothing changed. They warned us. Nothing changed. They kept on doing the same thing over and over and over.
Well, let me ask you this. If you were mayor tomorrow, they put you back in office, say, we made a mistake, Vince, you're going back in. What would you do?
Well, it would be pretty rough to do anything, because here's the situation. The only place you could really cut without damaging, without causing a lot of problems with the unions is Department of Public Works. They've already gutted Department of Public Works. Public Safety has mandated staffing levels, so you can't go there, because it's in the contract. How many patrol you have to have, how many firemen you have to have. It's already in the contract. So where are you going to go? To the same place? You go to City Hall. Many of the departments in City Hall have been gutted. MIS has been gutted. Engineering has been gutted. Inspections has been gutted. You name it. The departments have been cut back. So during the campaign this past year, people were saying, well, you got to cut the fat. There is no fat. In a lot of these departments, especially DPW and Parks, you're down to the bone. Period. So where are you going to cut? Now, when you cut, you're also cutting services. So cut DPW, but don't forget to plow my street. Cut DPW, but don't forget to fill my pothole.
Okay, you're mentioning the problems, and we know that. My question was, what would you do to get this? What would you do? If you can't cut personnel and what would you do?
Well, one of the things that's been suggested is to get with the unions and renegotiate the contracts, and that's not going to happen. So what I'm getting at is, whether people understand it or not, or whether the new mayor has recognized it or not, the fact is that he has his hands tied. So it's going to take the public, the personnel, and government to start making some very tough decisions. And the first tough decision I would make is that I think the Senecas are going to give us our money, okay? When that money comes in, some of it is already spent, okay, because we had advances from the governor's office. So that money has to be paid back. I would see that as a pool of money to stretch it over a 7-year period and start working out how to balance the books. Like, for instance,
So you would say go back to using the casino money to balance the budget,
No.
which everybody's saying you can't do.
No, wait a minute. You shouldn't have done it, but it's already there. You already have in the budget for this year, for 2020, you already have $9.5 million of casino money, plus an extra $4 million that you're picking up from the garbage fee. 4.2 million.
Right.
Okay, so that's 13 million that you're filling that hole in the budget with money that you didn't have last year. Okay, so now you're starting to use casino money. Next year, you can't institute another fee, another garbage fee. The 4 million is going to have to be collected like it will be collected this year, and life will go on. So now that you've been using casino money, there is no other choice. But what happens when the casino money stops coming in? Now you're going to have to make some decisions. So people have been talking about, let's have a control board, okay? Well, New York State isn't doing control boards like they were doing before. They kind of frown on that now, okay? So now the state would have to approve it. And the notion is that if you have a control board, then the unions will be forced to come to the table to renegotiate the contracts. It didn't happen in Buffalo. It didn't happen in Lockport. It didn't happen in Rochester. It didn't happen in Yonkers, New York.
Well, I'm not so sure that the unions are so acceptable to renegotiating. I mean, I've heard people come to the unions and say, look, if you guys don't give us a break on this, and this, we're going to have to cut off 10 people. We're going to have to lay off 10 people. And what they normally say, what I've normally heard over the years was, so what? Let them go. They're the new people. We're the old people. We'll get more overtime then.
Oh, yeah, I've said it out loud even at council meetings. If there's a cutback in public safety, who gets hurt are the young people. And in public safety, who do you need the most? What is the lifeblood of public safety? The young people. So here you're gonna lay off you're gonna lay off the people that are gonna do, let's face it, the heavier work.
You don't think an old cop can do the job?
Well, an old cop,
Look at the,
an old cop can use his head, I guess,
among other
and
things.
say, hey, kid, you get out there.
Okay, I understand now.
But it's not that simple. Why would a union give anything back? They
Well,
didn't
they-
steal it.
Well, they don't, yeah.
Yeah, why would they, And this notion that you're going to give, anything that the union gives back is going to have to be negotiated and bought back by the city. What I would like the city do and the city council do is learn about the union contracts. Because in the last 12 years, the previous administration gave up a lot of work rules and management rules or management rights that makes it very difficult to run the department. Because when there's in patrol and in a fire department, when there's an absence that day, you have to call somebody in. You can't, the chief.
Well, I know the police. I don't know what the firemen did. I know the police. I think they gave away their holidays and their personal days for 2 years on the last deal.
Aspetta.
Yeah.
Everything that you're talking about is on a memorandum of understanding. You don't have to pay us now, but you're going to have to pay us later.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Whoa, wait.
When they retire, 50
Yeah.
years from
Well, who
20 years
pays,
from
who
now.
pays for that when you retire?
Well,
Your
20
kids,
years.
your kids and grandkids.
But 20 years from now, people are believing the savior is going to change this city. We're gonna have
Wait a minute.
development. We're
Where
gonna
are
have,
you going to get the money in 20 years? Is there like a new revenue stream that you think of that's going to happen? Only one place. There's only one revenue stream that can keep increasing, and that's taxpayer money. So when you say that we're going to pay in 10 years or 20 years, you're saying we're going to knock on the door of the taxpayers, reach in their pocket, and get the money then. I mean, those are good deals. A good deal is that, okay, this is what you're getting, and we don't have to give you any more when you retire. You know what I'm saying? Pay as you go, so to speak. And the city doesn't do that. Everything is later. The buyouts at the end of the year.
Right,
Okay. Does the city set aside money for that?
I don't know. I don't know if they
Well,
do.
shouldn't they though?
Do they?
Shouldn't they? Well, they
It
used to.
sounds like, I mean, it's
They
gonna
used to.
happen.
They used to, but I'm telling you, in the last 12 years, they've put all the money in one pot, and anytime they needed money, the mayor would propose and the council would dispose. Oh, we need 100,000 for this, we're short here, we're short there, oh, go to casino money.
So can Mayor Restaino pull the city out, change it around, like he says, collaborate and put people together and get things where, can he pull this city out?
He's going to be able, he's going to be able to, I think, do what a lot of people have talked about it for a long time, including during my administration and the administrations before me, is to start collaborating with other agencies and municipalities or other government entities. For instance, one of the big things right now is healthcare.
Right.
Healthcare hasn't been rebid for over 12 years. Why?
I don't know. I
Okay,
mean, why wasn't the garbage contract rebid the way, you know?
Well, again, so yeah, is he going to be able to start doing things like that? Of course, and he should. But that's because you should have been doing that in the first place. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be able to bring anything new that hasn't been discussed. And
Is he going to be able to save the city? Is he going to be able to pull us out of debt?
No, not out of debt.
Is he going to be able to
No,
operate
not
without
out of
casino
debt.
money?
No, that's not going to happen. Where are you going to get that $9 million, $10 million?
We're at 333-3020. Vince Anello's with us. We're going to the phone lines. Dial carefully 716-333-3020. Once we pick up, you're in. You're on with Vince.
First of all, I can't understand why you wasted 10 minutes of your show, or 5 minutes of your show, talking about that bigot and that racist, but that's your problem.
Well, I just wanted to explain that I got a call from Mr. Hamilton, and he's been invited to come down, but right now he's tied up a little bit because he does Sandy Beach once a week for 10 minutes, and he can't seem the time, or doesn't feel that maybe he should have to come in here when he's on a big show like that.
That's right.
But he's been offered the opportunity. Because he complained about you
know.
and somebody else saying things about him.
Because I said he's a racist. He's an Uncle Tom. He's a bigot. Right?
And that's your opinion.
And he said he wouldn't be allowed to be in the Grand Marshal of the Christopher Colombo Parade.
Yes.
Well, first of all, we don't have a parade,
He did
number one. And number two, he has to be a member. So let's just care of that.
Okay, next. Go on, tell that.
Vince,
Yes.
you're nice and calm today.
Yes, well, I'm with Sal here, so.
You only had Miss Awesome calling you up.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hang in there,
Got a
Joe.
little coughing spell here for a minute.
Hang in there, Joe.
I think what's happening right now with the mayor is that he's starting to set his plan.
Right,
He's starting to set his foundation up.
right.
Because this isn't going to happen, I keep saying, for 3 years. You won't see any direction we're going to. You'll start seeing maybe next year what kind of direction we're heading. But
Well, I think he'll be able to do things, with, let's say, with the school board, because that's been talked about before, and the council never wanted to be on board. I think he'll be able to do things with the sheriff's department. That's been brought up before, but the council was never on board. I think council members are starting to understand that our back is up against the wall, finally. But how long did it take to get to that point?
well, with the county, I would see move our dispatch center over to the county. I think that's something that you should explore into. What the savings would be there, the overall savings. I know it's pay the county, but I think that's something he has to look into. IT department with the Board of Education. These are things. The water authority. He's got to start trying to work with them a little bit now. I think you've seen that with 2 replacements already.
Yeah.
So it's going to be. He's got to set his foundation first and get everything under order. Start putting the motions.
No, I agree, and I think he has a great opportunity to do it, but I think finally, the reason he'll have an opportunity to make it work is because I think you have a few council members who understand that we have to do something. You can't keep saying no to these things. You have to study them, get the pros and cons, and then make your decision.
80% of our budget is what, Vince?
Personnel.
Okay.
Over
How do you address that
80%.
personnel problem?
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
Well, again, that means when you talk about personnel, you're talking about cutting services. Call it what it is. How many people are willing to accept for the level of service that they get now? How many people are willing to accept cutting services?
What can you cut?
No, as far as I'm concerned, listen, as far as I'm concerned, they've already done the cuts, okay? You can change certain things, like what I've suggested for a long time, but you're never going to get I wasn't able to do it, and I don't think the previous mayor even ever addressed it. But right now, we have a 4 and 2 shift for patrol. I think it should go to a 5 and 2 shift.
Well, I agree with you on that, but again...
And that would give you an extra 6 or 7 cops.
And it gives you $1.5 million to work with.
Well, again, a little here, a little there,
Hey, it helps. All right? I think they should look into, okay, they got to start creating a rainy day fund. Start moving revenue around. You got all this parking revenue. Excess parking.
Yeah, but
I know you said the other day on your show, that's already spent.
That's already spent, Joe.
We're going to put some of that off to the side for next year. You guys are budgeting that. Start moving around a little bit to help out your
Joe,
balance.
the reason I say things like that is because, for instance, for the last 4 years, we've had an increase in revenue in sales tax. Not as much maybe, but we've had increases in sales tax and also the parking, all right? But in the last 4 years, we've overspent the budget they were supposed to work with. So what I'm getting at is, you don't think that in April we're going to find out if this 2019 budget was overspent, and I'm assuming it will be because they used a lot of money for overtime. So what
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, go ahead. So, the money's already gone.
All right, when you had the new chairman, all right, on there, and I was questioning him about, it's easy to say no. I understand you didn't want to use your garbage fee, but what did you try to do in 2 years with your colleagues to try to reduce that, to try to save $4.5 million?
Right.
He never he couldn't come up with anything. He didn't do nothing. The easy vote is no.
Well,
The hard vote is trying to find out how to solve the problems.
one of the things that should be proposed, I know that everybody talks about cutting the fat. There is no fat, so, I mean, you can say it, but I don't see how it can be done. And when it comes to fire department and the police department on patrol, you can't cut staff because it's mandated in the contract. So
In the contract.
Yeah, so until 2023, 2024, when these contracts are renegotiated, you're not getting any of that. It's simple
We
as
have-
that.
Did they screw up by giving a 7-year, whatever they gave contract to these people? Was that to get votes? Was the
They
mayor,
screwed up by not putting a cap on those contracts. For instance,
but was that a ploy by the mayor to get those unions to vote for him?
when people ask me, what did the mayor do with with all that casino money? He bought 3 terms in office. That's what he did.
Right.
Three terms in office. Nobody argued the contracts. Hey, what do you guys want? Oh, you okay with this? Fine, here's a little bit more, and they did it. There were no negotiations about health care, about the shifts themselves, or any of those benefits. Okay. If you,
But let me ask you something, Vince, because I hear this all the time. I hear the same thing. The governor is doing bail reform, and he's letting people out of jail, and he's doing all this because he wants people to vote for him. He's talking about abortions because he wants people to vote for him.
You know he's giving $1 billion to the Power Authority? Do you know that?
He's giving $1 billion to them?
$1 billion to the Power Authority to start with their project of their expansion or their upgrades.
He's
$1 billion.
giving it to them, not taking it from them?
He's giving $1 billion to the Power Authority.
No, I
of
didn't
New
know.
York State.
No, I didn't know
All right.
that.
Yeah. Well, what about us?
listen, the
That
Power
Power Authority-
Authority, has been the piggy bank for the state of New York.
Yeah.
So my question, Vince, what I was just trying to get to was, when you were mayor, did you go, well, I better not do this because these unions aren't going to vote for me, all right?
No, not about the unions aren't going to vote for me. What I did was when I negotiated the contracts, I let the unions know that we weren't going to, what I was going to try to do was keep the total cost of a contract to keep it within 2% of the previous contract, which meant not 2% wage increase plus 2% increase in benefits, the total package, 2%.
2%.
Okay? Now, I'll give you an example. The health care for a family right now is $27,000 for a family plan. The median income in the city of Niagara Falls is, guess what? $27,000. So that means that half of the people in the city of Niagara Falls who get an income, who work, are making less than what the health care cost for one individual family plan for the city.
We also have a problem with our council, afraid to make a hard decision. All right? And I'll give you an example going with this user garbage fee. 2 years ago, when they marched on City Hall, they took it off the table. If they would have put that in there, the guy kept preaching, and leave it there, you could start creating a rainy day fund. But remember one thing, we have this user fee because everybody wanted more bulk pickup. So they had to renegotiate the contract.
Right.
Well, that's going to cost you some money.
Right.
Well, guess what happened? We didn't figure out how to pay for this.
Right.
All right.
Because
Like
we
the
had
service
casino
contract.
money. Because we had
Right.
casino
Well,
money.
we did exactly. So now what do? We have to pay for it.
Right.
All right. And if they would have looked at the thing, well, we got more bulk pickup, we haven't happy with that, but how are we going to pay for it?
See, the thing is, I don't want this to turn into, blaming the unions. When you negotiate, you put your docket, they call it the docket, the list of demands, and you put them on the table. The city does the same thing. I would love to see the city's docket for the last 3 or 4 negotiations. I would love to see that, because I don't know what the city got for anything that they negotiated.
They got votes.
Unions,
Votes!
They got votes, that's what they got, yeah.
the unions were a lot smarter than the administration and the council. Okay? And I hate to say it, that's what happened.
Because,
They got out.
Sel keeps saying, what would you do, what would you do? I did it, and I made a lot of enemies. I left the previous mayor.
All right. $8.5 million.
$8.5 million surplus and $38 million of casino money. So when you talk about a rainy day fund, Joe, I was doing that,
But it's gone.
but it's gone. So
Let's talk about what happened in the history. How are they going to solve their problem now? And this mayor, John Carl told me this, this ain't the time to be the mayor of Niagara Falls. All right, and
Well,
you know what?
it's not. I feel
Bob-
bad for the mayor. And
Bob can't get great any more great than he already is.
yeah, well, see, he's got a head start, right?
Yeah, he's already great. We're going to see. Hopefully, he puts his departments together, heads together. Tony runs the day-to-day operation, and he starts to market the city. Now we got to stop. We always say we're a city of poverty. We need to start building more market rate apartments to bring people into the city.
Right.
Now, how do we make out on 7th Street, that row of market rate apartments?
Those are market rate. Those subsidized housing.
Where they just built on 7th Street,
No,
on 7th and Niagara Street? No.
six.
No. I'm talking about that,
7th and
this
Niagara.
project on 7th
7th
and
and
Niagara, yeah.
They're up. They just opened them up for.
Gonna be market rate?
7th and Niagara.
Yeah,
7th and
yeah.
Niagara.
How'd they make
okay.
out with those?
They just finished them.
They just finished them, so, you know.
You got to get people to come in there now and start renting. They'll rent them. You know.
See, I don't know if Niagara Falls right now, with a median income of $27,000, is going to have a lot of successful real estate ventures that have to do with market rate apartments.
See, Vince, I say this all the time. We need to work with our real estate office and market this city into Buffalo. We're only 25 minutes away.
Oh, yeah, believe it or not, Joe, we have people from Buffalo moving into the city of Niagara
Yeah,
Falls.
because it's
money
it's
people,
cheap.
you know?
Listen, Buffalo was an article in Buffalo News the other day. I don't know if you saw it, that the apartments are exploding, building on apartments in Buffalo, market rate apartments.
Right.
Now they're turning to focus on condos and townhouses.
Right.
Right, and that has to eventually happen here. They have to have that kind of mentality. All right, because we're only 25 minutes away from Buffalo. All right, and we got to start to capitalize on the people moving.
So you
down.
think people are gonna move from Buffalo, if they work in Buffalo, you think they're gonna move to Niagara Falls rather than Wheatfield or Town of Niagara
Because these
or
people want
Youngstown?
apartments.
If they have to,
But these people want apartments. They don't want houses. All right, that's what they're talking about the medical corridor in Buffalo. Their apartments are exploding over there. I heard of land where they're exploding. And that won't happen on Pine Avenue. These houses, these two-family houses, should be, rented to people that will support Pine Avenue or even Main Street eventually.
Well,
You don't always want a house. Remember, these people aren't always here to stay either. So you want people to come in here, rent, and let them commute back and forth. These younger people, they don't want to buy houses right now. They want to rent.
That's all true, Joe, but one of the things that keeps an area from progressing when it comes to real estate is the people that have an education and are looking for a home, and they're planning a young family, they're planning a family, or they have a young family. First thing they look at is schools. The second thing they look at, quality of life issues, parks,
neighborhoods, safety.
Okay? So
And that's what the mayor has to address.
So what
And
I'm
he said
getting at is you'll find people get close to retirement age that will sell a piece of property in Erie County in Buffalo and move to Niagara Falls because the difference in the real estate, it's happened.
It could happen. It could happen.
And wind up with an extra $100,000 in their
Sure,
pocket
yeah.
where they put it on their retirement.
I thought I saw a line the other day
No,
coming
I'm
into the
not
city.
talking about a line. What I'm talking about is a trend. But the thing is, any good thing that's going to happen in the next 4 years.
And Ristano wants to start getting the poverty people out of here, and get more market rate apartments because poverty attracts the crime.
But where are you going to put the poverty people at? How are you going to get them out?
Niagara. Send them out to the town of Niagara.
Well, what I used to tell the county legislatures is that they should put the next building for county building for for welfare should be in the town of Pendleton.
Yeah, there you go. Town of Niagara too. Put out there.
Oh, goodbye, Joe. Thank you. I should have gonged him, but he's he's an expert on everything. You do know
Well,
that. Huh?
you should do a show with Joe and Kenny.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, he's even got his own theme song for being an expert on everything. EOE, an expert on everything. Entertaining, visiting, or shopping for somebody special this season? then be sure to check out the specially bottled, personally selected bourbons, rum, and tequila at Supermarket Liquors and Wines, Niagara's largest liquor store at Niagara Falls Boulevard and Military Road. And because Supermarket Liquor's so large, a great gift doesn't have to be expensive. Specially selected single barrel rum, tequila, and bourbon at Supermarket Liquors and Wines. Open 7 days a week for your convenience, late night, Friday and Saturday. Supermarket Liquors and Wines. Check out their weekly specials online anytime at supermarketliquor.com. Entertaining, visiting, or shopping for somebody special this season? Then be sure to check out the specially bottled, personally selected. Do you realize what time it is? It's time to update the numbers in your cell phone. Why your cell phone? Because you want the numbers that you know someday you'll need right there at your fingertips. So here's one to put in: 523-5911. It's the number of Chris Moore, Niagara's #1 appliance repairman. 523-5911. You'll need him when your refrigerator's not working, when your stove's not working, when your dishwasher, your clothes dryer, when any home appliance is not working, you'll need Chris Moore. He's been doing it for 30 years. He can fix any appliance with ease and reasonably. In fact, his service call is just $35. He will come to your home and fix your home appliance for $35, the service call, plus the cost of the parts and labor. You're not going to find a guy more reasonable than that. You're not going to find a repairman more honest than that. Chris Moore. Do yourself a favor. Put his number in your cell phone now. 523-5911, because someday you'll need that number. He's Niagara's #1 repairman for more reasons than one. Vincenello's with us, former mayor and star of the Vincenello radio show.
All right.
Every Tuesday and Thursday on WJJL. What do you see in our future here?
Well, I see a lot of hard work on behalf of the administration, the administrator and the mayor, and I think we have to, get a mindset that there's going to be some pain all the way around financially, because even if the mayor is lucky enough to get all the things that he wants to do with consolidating departments and with sharing services with other agencies and government entities, that still isn't going to be enough to carry us through once the casino money is gone.
What I'm listening to right now, the mayor is talking with people in the IT department at the Board of Education.
Right.
So what kind of money or savings, what are we possibly looking at there?
Well, let's say that particular move itself, it might save us one or two jobs, the cost of one or two jobs, and also we'll walk into better equipment where you can do the job better. Okay, so that's
Now, will those people get us grants? Will they be able to write? Is that part of that?
what's that?
Will they be able to get us grants?
Well,
IT.
We get the city's been getting grants right along. I mean, we've never had the wherewithal to really have a dedicated agency that's their livelihood is to write grants. But we've had grants writers, even in-house. The police department writes a lot of grants. The fire department writes a lot of grants. But again,
But and I'm curious about this because I see, for instance, the town of Niagara gets a lot of grants.
right,
Get a lot of equipment.
right.
Got new police cars all the time. Got tasers. Got radios. I'm assuming Chief Suter writes the grants or has contacts to write the grants.
Sure, but we've had.
And but we're always in need of police cars. Are we getting these type of grants?
Well, yeah, certainly those grants are available usually for specialized equipment. But for instance, for police cars, I mean, you must have heard last year that the police department mentioned the fact that they were running short of cars.
Right.
How in the hell can you have all that casino money and not have put a plan together where every 3 years you rotate 1/3 of the fleet so that you're always, you're always working towards that end? And how could you get to a point where you're running out of police cars? I mean, so you give solid contracts to keep the personnel that you have, but you don't think about the police cars? What's a police department without police cars?
I don't know, I couldn't explain it.
It's a club.
We got a nice statue, though, in front of the Hotel Niagara that's, you know,
Well, again, to me, there's enough blame to go around. I feel comfortable with the decisions that I made when I was in office, and I was up against it all the time. But the fact is that, that casino money gave people a license to do whatever the heck they wanted. Look, what's the sense of creating all the extra parks that we created, but you cut the parks department? Who's going to maintain the parks?
yeah, but you could say election time, we built 60 new parks
A
for
lot
the
of ribbon
kids.
cutting. There are a lot of
Oh, yeah,
photos
yeah.
of ribbon cutting.
Yeah, right,
A lot of
right.
new, beautiful news stories about parks.
Yeah.
Okay, but why would you? Why put the golf course? We no longer run the golf course now. Financially, on paper, that's a good move, because it was costing us anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 of taxpayer money to run the golf course. Okay, so now let's just say that the city's not getting hardly any money from the golf course, but it's not paying out $200,000 to $400,000 a year. Okay, so on paper it's a good thing, but you gave up an asset that very few other cities have. I mean, to talk about quality of life. I mean, give me
Well,
a break.
did the golf course make money when you were the mayor?
No, it's never made money.
Why?
Because the city council would not raise the rates for golfing. And when we figured it out during the Galley administration, because we talked about raising the fees then, you had people who had the season's pass.
Yeah.
They were golfing for 50 cents a round.
But they were I'm looking like Bernie Sanders now. They were the older people in the city that went to the voting booths and voted.
And had good pensions from the plants from back the 50s and 60s, right?
Yeah.
And could afford the season pass, and could
Probably.
afford it,
Probably,
paying
yeah.
an extra fee for extra rounds. But you're right, the vote,
That's what I think.
okay? So that's why I say I'm hopeful. I'm always very optimistic about the city of Niagara Falls. I love the city, but
What do you tell your kids about your grandkids? What do you say? Find them a job out of the city, or hang around. Things are going to be. We're going to hit it. We're going to hit the high note again. This city's going to be. What do you?
well, I don't
For
think-
your family, what do you tell them?
Well, no, I don't see. I tell them to look for a job, all right?
Out of the area?
I
Out
don't
of the
care where,
area?
but look for a job. But no, but the thing is, I don't discourage people to live in Niagara Falls, and I try not to badmouth the city of Niagara Falls, but I do bring out, facts that
Sure.
are very complimentary sometimes, and that's just a fact of life. But no, I think I encouraged my grandson to buy property here in Niagara Falls, but we have a lot of beautiful neighborhoods in Niagara Falls.
We do.
But we never talk about
We have
it.
a lot of crappy neighborhoods too.
We have crappy
We have a lot of
neighborhoods.
scary neighborhoods.
Exactly, and that's where we need the police protection, and that's why it's hard to say, well, you gotta cut this, you gotta cut the public safety here, you gotta cut public safety there. It's not that simple, but can it be reorganized in a way where it costs us less money? Let's face it, you save $100,000 here, $500,000 there, you know what I'm saying, it starts adding up, and it doesn't come out of the pockets of the taxpayers. One of the things that has to be done, and I'm not speaking for the mayor, I'm just suggesting, but you asked me, what would you do? The first thing I would do is show the people the books and say, for the next 10 years, the taxes are gonna go up 2% a year. And we're not gonna play games with the rate. It's gonna be 2% a year for the next 10 years, so we can have a rainy day fund, like, eventually, like the state controller suggests, 5%, and Joel keeps mentioning, in a rainy day fund. Okay, you have to rein in some of these extra expenses. $27,000 for healthcare, and they never thought in the last contract to put a cap on it. And now they say that people, we have, people pay, pay into
Okay,
it.
but let me ask you.
But 65% of the people don't pay into it.
Right, but you say that type of money for health care. Have we shopped around to get?
No, that's
Well,
my point.
Well, why?
Well,
Why wouldn't you not shop around?
Well, why would you give a mayor that didn't shop around, why would you give him 3 terms in office? Why would you reelect council members who didn't put that as an agenda item during the budget? Or during the negotiations? You know, the council, best excuse ever, I love it. I've heard this excuse since 1981. Well, we don't negotiate the contracts. No, but you approve them.
Yeah.
Okay?
guess.
Give me a break. So you go like this, and then you say, okay, now I'm gonna vote, I have to vote for it. You know, what am I gonna do? You know, I gotta vote for it. So the thing is, what's wrong with understanding how much services cost and how much you have to pay for them and say, maybe this is too much? No, instead, they got themselves in a position where the fire chief and the police chief can't say, well, look, maybe we have to take a rig out of service for today. Or maybe, you know, according to our records, this time of year, as crime rate goes down, maybe we won't call as many people in on overtime. The chief can't do that. He has to have a certain number of people on the shift, whether you like it or not. There could be 6 feet of snow out there tomorrow morning, and he would still have to have the same number of patrol cars on duty that can't move.
Speaking of 6 feet of snow, what do you think of the coverage for the snow plowing this year, and why are our streets always snow covered and ice covered? When you go out to Wheatfield or Town of Niagara or on the thruway, it's right down to the pavement. What are we doing different, wrong, or maybe not salting? What do you were the mayor, you were there. What's going on?
Well, one of the things that we always cut back on is training people. You know, oh, they're in Department of Public Works, they don't need any training. So we don't allow to train people. And now we've lost so many seniors, you know, that were in the Department of Public Works that knew how to patch streets, knew how to plow snow, that we didn't give them an opportunity to train the newer people.
But when you go down the street, and I've noticed this in the last couple of days when it snowed, Niagara Falls side streets especially, because maybe they're not traveled as much, but even when the plow goes down, and I made the excuse for the people, because people said, why are the streets like that? Well, maybe they don't put the plow down low
far
enough
yeah.
because it hits the sewer
Right.
grates and pops them up and makes it dangerous. Is that what it is?
Well, in 1996, that was the reason in 1996, when I asked that question at a council meeting, you know, and it's still the same answer. You know, the thing is that there are some issues, but now we're using those issues, you know, too much, okay?
Are we skimping? Now, people are saying this, and they've been saying it, and I don't know whether it's true. Are they skimping on salt to save money?
There have been seasons, you know, there have been seasons that they have skipped on salt, and I think even members of the administration have accepted that notion and said it, in some cases, said it publicly. But again, these things don't just happen overnight. They creep up on you, you know, whether it's the trees. I mean, the forestry department, you know, and keeping up with the trees. Look, why do we have so many stumps out already, you know, all over the place? They're being left behind. All right? When I left, all the stumps that were on the list we got rid of. The only stumps that were left when I left office were the ones that never made it into the records, okay? So they just weren't there, you know? So the thing is, but these things add up. I think we've cut back on personnel a little bit too much, and I think we haven't given the supervision the opportunity to really know the job or learn the job well. Okay?
Well, you know, you got...
Because they're always under the gun.
But our public works director's done it for years now. And Queso did it for years. I mean, they know what they were doing. They didn't need direction, I don't think.
No, listen, in the military, the reason you get things done is because you give an order, and the person you give the order to has no choice. Here you're challenged politically all the time. All the time you're challenged. And it makes it tough. Listen, it's not easy running a workforce, and especially when it has a little bit of a political bent. Okay, every 2 years you have a council. Every 2 years you have council elections. Every 4 years you have a mayor's election. Okay, Now, what happens at the headquarters, especially for the mayor? You'll see, how many names did you hear? We're going to be the next police chief, the next fire chief, and the next Department of Public Works.
A lot
director.
more than were candidates.
Okay,
It's like-
all right, because we've made this town too political. We've made this town too political. We pay for a service that needs to be delivered. People should be judged on the quality of their service, but you have to give them the tools and the financial wherewithal to make it happen.
We got a couple minutes left. Got one final question for Vincenello when we come back. There's snow yet to come this winter, and to make sure you can clear your driveway and sidewalks effortlessly, now's the time to go and see Mike Richards over at Niagara Lawn and Garden on Saunders Settlement Road, just off Military Road. Niagara Lawn and Garden has special purchase deals right now on Cub Cadet snow blowers. These blowers are made tough, strong, and will start and clean the ice and snow effortlessly for you. No straining, no pushing, no pulling. The machine does all the work. But don't take my word for it. Stop and see for yourself at Niagara Lawn and Garden, Saunders Settlement Road, just east of Military in the town of Niagara. And yes, if your snow blower that you bought last year wasn't a Cub Cadet and it doesn't start, they've got the best mechanics at Niagara Lawn and Garden. And even if you didn't buy it there last year, no matter what the brand, they'll fix it. Call Mike Richards for details, or go down there and do yourself a favor. Buy a brand new Cub Cadet snowblower. It'll last you for years, and you'll be glad you stopped by. Niagara Lawn and Garden. You bought a Cub Cadet, didn't you?
Oh, yes, I did. It works well.
Good machines.
Oh, yeah, it works well.
Vince Anello, he's got his own radio show. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 o'clock on WJJL Radio. Final question. You say you do your radio show, you do that to inform the people, to keep them up to date, to let them know
I
what's
try,
going on.
yeah.
What do you want people to know? What do you want people to do? How could they help the situation?
Well, until they learn about their own government and the way their own government operates, they shouldn't be bitching and complaining, okay? Because when you say my street wasn't plowed or my pothole wasn't fixed or my tree wasn't cut, you need to find out why, okay? You need to find out why. And then when they give you an answer, you need to follow up on it.
So how do you find out? What's your answer? Listen to your radio show?
Well, if you call my show, I guarantee I'll find out why. Even if they're lying to me, I'll find out why, okay? All right, so, but the point is that you have to learn about, the only way we can fix the city is by everybody working together. The administration, the workforce, and the residents, okay? I think we all have a right to complain. I complain, okay? I don't like my taxes to go up, but I understand the math. And listen, this issue about the garbage fee, okay? They needed to find money, okay? The garbage fee is another $4 million that's actually added to your property tax.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
I say it's a tax, they say no.
Well, it's not called a tax, but it's on top of your, you're gonna pay it from the same checkbook,
Yeah,
okay?
coming out of the same pot.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so no, I wish the new administration the best. I wish I could have worked a little closer with the past administration. They were very, well, let me just say that it could have been, the relationship could have been better. I tried to treat them with respect, but I didn't get the same treatment back, But I'm wishing the new administration well, and hopefully we can get out of this mess, but it's going to take a long time. It won't be just one term or 4 years. It's going to take a long time for us to get back where we belong.
You're one of these guys. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take.
It can't. We don't have the money to do it overnight.
That's not encouraging
Well,
at all.
I'm not moving. I'm not selling my house. I'm not moving.
All right.
So-
Okay. Well, Vince, good to see you. I'm glad you
Same.
finally find the time. I know we don't have 40,000 viewers like
Yeah.
some people have on the radio station out of Buffalo, but
Yeah, well, no,
we're trying, though. We're trying.
I enjoyed being here, and thank you for asking me, and hope to see you soon, Sal.
And our show will go up on YouTube.
All right.
So they'll be there forever.
Okay.
Vince Anello, he's on the air, WJJL 1440, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 10 o'clock. Thanks for being here, Vince.
Thank you. Thank you.